the things to stop doing, if you will, to keep us stuck. If you have to have contact with that person or those people, if you have to, or even if you meet future people like that, think about what didn't work. Okay, I always think we learn from what doesn't work every bit as much as what does. So, for example, if you expected them to change, and they wouldn't, no matter what you did, you pleaded, you begged, you compromised, you screamed, doesn't matter what it was, everything you did in order to try to get them to change, nothing worked. Maybe stop trying. Stop hoping they'll change. If they want to change, they will, and that's going to be entirely up to them. We can't force it. The most we will ever do is influence someone. That's as much as we can do. But stop expecting, stop hoping they're going to change. The second one is to stop explaining yourself. No matter how many times you explain to someone who's maybe narcissistic, who is committed to be disagreeable, who's committed not to listen, no matter how many times you explain to them they decided, or whatever was going on, they didn't hear it, they didn't believe it, they didn't agree with it, they shut it down, they would pick up on one small part and they would twist that. And the more you try to explain yourself, the more you find yourself running around in circles. You drive yourself crazy. There's nothing wrong necessarily with giving an account of yourself, but that's not the same as an explanation. And what I mean by that is somebody asks you for something and you say, I can't do that, I wouldn't have the time. And they keep going on. Yeah, but you do have the time because of this, that, and the other. You just repeat the same thing. I won't be doing that, I don't have the time. And then they start saying, but sure, you could do this, that, and the other. I won't be doing that, I don't have the time. Do not need to giving an account of yourself is one thing, but trying to explain yourself to someone who has set out not to listen, you're going to drive yourself insane, and you're going to find yourself going through that same pattern over and over again. So maybe stop explaining yourself. The next one is, do not get caught up in emotive arguments. A lot of the arguments you have with narcissistic people are emotive. They're not factual, they're not principled, they are emotive. Try to keep it factual. This is actually what happened, and that's as far as you have to go. And again, you do not over-explain yourself. You just keep it factual and keep repeating the same point. When it becomes emotive, that's often when it leaps from one thing to the next. And the next thing you know, you're accused of saying something about an episode of Friends back in 1998 that they're still hurting at today, as if that's got something to do with what we're talking about right now. You're going to go all over the place. You're driving yourself crazy. So try not to get drawn into emotive arguments. And I'm going to be very careful how I say this as well. It's okay to be the villain, but don't be the villain that they claim you are. Let me explain that. If you say no, you're the villain. If you don't give them what they want, you're the villain. If you don't back down, you're the villain. If you have boundaries, you are the villain. In their mind, you are the villain. So be the villain. Be the one with the boundaries. Be the one that says no. Be the one that wants to have a better life. Be the one that is better off without them. If that's what makes you a villain, then be their villain. But don't be the villain that they claim you are. Do not become the very thing that they accuse you of.